welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to tell you about what happened in Vegas, not with the other story, but there's a different story on Vegas. And yes, I'm eating some pizza. So, I was really lonely, and I met a guy at the time it was about an hour from where I live, since I've moved. We were kind of dating. It depends on how you look at it. Like, I think he wanted someone special and I wanted someone special, but, like, I don't know. Like, I would call him my boyfriend, and I don't even know if he would call me his boyfriend. I mean, we were seeing each other. And so, you really never thought this guy was gay. Like, he was not the stereotypical gay person. But at the same time, it did seem like we didn't have a lot in common. But anyway, he wanted to go to Vegas to, I think it was called DEF CON. I don't remember the name of it now, but it's like a hackers convention. Well, it was in Vegas. And he was like, hey, why don't you go? I'll be right back. Sorry. So he asked me, he's like, do you want to go? And this happened a long time ago, so forgive me if I have to think a little bit, because I'd rather think and tell you the truth than tell you what I thought happened and it didn't. But, so, I believe he said just pay for your flight. I think he said the hotel was paid for, or maybe I had to pay a portion of the hotel. I don't remember all the details on that. But when we got there, instead of going straight to the hotel, he wanted to meet up with his friends. And I had luggage. And if I remember right, he either had no luggage or like a book bag, and that's it. I think he just had a book bag. And I actually had like a pool luggage and I think a small book bag. I mean, I didn't have a lot of luggage because I've been to Vegas before and I don't recommend going with a lot of luggage. But like, I had enough to where, you know, it's still, I had to pull something, whatever, right? Like, if I remember right, it was a small thing that you pull, and then my book bag. And so, let me tell you. Instead of going straight to the hotel, we wound up meeting his buddies at Luxor. He was just talking outside the room. Why he never went in, I don't understand. He eventually did, but it was one of those things, it's like, you know, I'm tired from the flight, I kind of want to take a shower, unpack, like, and on top of all that, oh, I remember now. No. I remember now. They were smoking. I don't remember if it was vape. They were doing something in the room that had to do with marijuana. And that's one of the reasons why I wasn't in the room. And if I remember right, I smelled it too. I don't know if they were smoking the regular, it was vape or something like that. But I remember it smelled like marijuana. And by the way, his friends didn't like me. Because I thought that maybe, you know, like, I'm not anti-drugs, but, like, I can't be around drugs. And so, we finally get to our room, and he spends, like, the entire week at DEF CON conferences, and says he could try to get me in, but you can't, which is fine. I did go to, like, a semi kind of meeting kind of thing, but it was like a free one, and then that's where I met other people that was also going there, because there was DEF CON and then there was like LGBT gay part of this. So it was a hackers convention, and then they had let's say you're African American, they would have hackers convention, and then special times for like African Americans or whatever. And I also happen to be for LGBT. Or maybe like a hackers convention, and then also extra for like people with Down syndrome that also to be hackers, stuff like that. So instead of just telling you all the negative stuff, there was some positive stuff. I met them at a bar, and they had a pool party, and I cannot remember the hotel, but it's a hotel that's not on the main strip, and they have these balconies that come way out, and like an infinity pool on the balcony. And I'm thinking it's the Palms. So I did go to an awesome pool party, and I'll leave a link below the video, this video of that video that I went. That's on my old channel. So there was some interesting stuff, but overall his friends didn't like me, and me and him didn't hardly hang out like at all. And so I just would walk around Vegas by myself. Like, I couldn't go to the DEF CON conventions because I didn't pay. Like, it was in the thousands of dollars, and you had to pre-advance. So, like, I couldn't really hang out with him. But then I'd ask him, like, hey, when you're done with your friends, you want to hang out? Because, like, me and you ain't hanging out. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if we're not, like, going steady or whatever you want to call it, like, we're still, like, together. Even as friends, you know? And so it's kind of got, like, I guess his friends were just, like, tired of me calling him or texting him, because he would say, yeah, let's hang out, well, give me an hour or whatever, and that never happened. And then so I did go to the pool party, which he was there, but then he wanted to leave right away, and I'm like, well, I want to stay. And I was like, he's like, okay, then I'll just leave. And I'm like, well, I felt bad because, you know, I mean, you mean you haven't hung out. And so I don't know, he was just moody. He wasn't a bad person, but he was just like moody, and he seemed to put his friends he did put his friends first. So even though I had a pretty good time, I loved the pool party. That was cool. And it was actually two. It was a party at the hotel with the infinity pool, and then I think it was the next day, or that night was I think it was the next day in the evening was well, they were both in the evening. Yeah. But I think the other one was started later or something. Anyway, I had fun with that, okay? I had fun with that. You know, like, I will give credit where credit is due. But the thing is he wasn't very, he just didn't want to hang out. And, like I was like, hey, let's like, eat. Like, for example, like one time, I was like, hey, you know, what are you doing for dinner? You want to meet up? And he's like, well, my friends can come along. I'm like, of course they'll come along. And he's like, we'll pick a restaurant, and then we'll meet you there at so-and-so time. And then I picked the restaurant, and then he was like, yeah, well, why don't you just come to the hotel? We just ordered pizza. I'm like, do you realize I'm like, it's a long walk, and I'm already at this, like, at the restaurant. Stuff like that. So anyway, I'm getting to the point. The night before we were supposed to leave, that was the night that we were supposed to meet up at that restaurant, actually. He told me, there's a lot of people here, and we've been doing, you know what, marijuana, which I know you can't be around. He's like, so you might want to wait before you come back to the room. So I'm waiting, and I miss, because we were stationed in the casino that is not on the main strip. If you've ever been to Vegas, and I think it's the Palms. Let me ask Google. Hey Google, what major casino is not on the strip in Las Vegas?
I found a couple of choices. Artisan Hotel Boutique, the LINQ Hotel Plus experience in Harrah's, Las Vegas. I've sent these to your phone.
And so, there's normally a free bus that takes you to that. but it's owned by the same casino that also owns a casino on the Strip. So it's like, if you own a casino on the Strip, but you also own another casino off the Strip, then you'll take people back and forth for free because you're still getting business. I missed it by like 5 minutes. I probably should have got an Uber or Lyft, but it would have cost a lot of money. But I walked. And Vegas has a tendency to where if you walk sometimes, instead of like walking from here to there, instead of me walking like this, it's like I walk like this. I'm slowly getting there. Here, okay? It's all these things. I found that out with the Sahara, which changed their name to SLS or SLL, whatever. Now they're back to Sahara again. So it took me forever to get there. When I got there, weed. Whole room smells like weed. They're smoking it. Like, it's strong. Like, damn it. I was like, I can't be around this. Why? Because I'm on pain medicine, and if I piss this high, I get in trouble. And so, it's our hotel room. And there's like an insane amount of people in this room. I'm getting tired. I'm tired of it. So finally, I'm like, whatever. So I go in there. Everybody's halfway passed out, drunk, wasted on weed, whatever. And I got 3 or 4 people sleeping in my bed. Or the whole bunch sleeping in his bed. I'm like, what the fuck? Where do I sleep? He got attitude with me. He was like, just sleep on the floor. I was like, you know I can't sleep on the floor. We've already had this discussion. You know I have a bad back. He like mocked me, made fun of me, and so did his friends. So, the next day, we were supposed to leave. I set my alarm clock early. My ass was ready to go. Probably 2.5, 3 hours before it was time to leave the room. So I'm already ready. His alarm clock finally goes off, and he just sleeps right through it and hits the snooze button. I try to wake him up, and he's getting attitude with me. He finally decides to get out of bed and starts yelling at me like, you need to get ready, we're going to be late. I'm like, my bags are there, my book bag, my other bag. My bed is clean, made, whatever. I've taken a shower. I put on my cologne. Like, I'm ready to walk out like right now. As in 3 hours ago right now. I was already ready. Horrible attitude with me because he has a hangover and whatever. He's still yelling at me that I need to hurry and get ready. I'm like, I'm already ready, dude. Like, he's like, we can't be late. I'm like, I'm ready. I've been ready. We get to the airport. This is where the story gets really, really good. If you want to call it good. It's really entertaining, I guess. So I am eating because I'm hungry. And my pizza pretty much burnt. This vegan cheese tastes funny this time around. I don't know why. So, let me tell you what happened at the airport. We're not late for the flight. We get to the airport, and they tell us that there might be a problem. Because they think they're overbooked, but they're not sure. Which was really weird. Matter of fact, I don't think the person told me. I think the screen said that. Yeah, it did. It did. We checked in a digital screen, and it said something like, go to your gate ASAP, because something about overbooking, something along those lines. So, he doesn't want to walk with me. Like, if I'm going fast, he's getting behind me. Then when I slow down to wait for him to catch up, then he walks past me. Then if I catch up with him to talk, then he slows down. Super slow. I mean, like, just like, almost like stops. So that I have to go up and say, come on, let's go. And he just kind of like waits. So like, no matter what, he's dodging me to where he does not want to talk to me. Like, at all. And I'm like, I know you're upset, or maybe I'm upset or whatever, but can we just, like, fight later and not now? Because we're going to miss the flight. No. I get to the terminal to check in for my flight. He's nowhere to be found. I don't see him anywhere. I call him and text him and call him and text him. When I get there, the lady says, we pretty much have overbooked. Like, I will give you $200 or $300 or whatever to not get on this flight. And you'll be able to go on it tomorrow or the next day. And then, like, we'll give you, like, if you give up your seat. Because someone else is not willing to pay. Someone else wants to go on the, you see what I'm saying? Like, some people are not going to be on that flight, and those people are going to be upset, so we're willing to give them money and do this and do that or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that could be an option. So I was like, well, my boyfriend, I got to find out, because he's supposed to go with me back home. So I'm looking all for him, and he's nowhere to be found. I'm calling and texting and calling and texting. No answer. I'm thinking, well, maybe he's already on the flight and I just didn't see him. But I don't think so. I'm not, do I leave him behind? Because if I don't get on this flight, and somehow he got on the flight, and somehow I just didn't notice, then I'm going to be stranded in Vegas. And not completely, but once I get back to Texas, because the thing is like this. He drove me to the airport. If I remember right, and I could be wrong, if I remember right, I think I left my car in his town. And we got in his truck, and then we drove to the airport. Well, I know for a fact that he drove his truck, and I was in his truck, and we went to the airport. Airport, that I know for sure. What I'm not sure is whether I left my car at my house or his house. But we either went from my house to the airport in his truck, or from his house to the airport in his truck. And keep in mind, his house is an hour from my house. That's not in the same town. And so either way it goes, I'm still going to be stranded, right? Because how am I going to get back home, or even back to his house where my car was at? The more I think about it, I think my car was at his house. And so, he's nowhere on the flight. And after they close the doors, right after that, he texts me and says, yeah, I'm not going on the flight. They just offered me $300 or whatever, and I'm just going to go home tomorrow. I was like, well, I'm on the flight, dude. I was like, I looked for you. I ran to the bathroom. Like, I was there at the terminal, okay? Looking for you, calling you, texting you. Like, you ignored me, and now at the last minute, it's too late for me to get off this flight. You're telling me you're going to stay in Vegas. How am I going to get home? Okay. I don't remember what he said. So, I come home to the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. And I still need to go from there back to my house. And for some strange reason, and I don't remember why, I don't remember who took me home. I vaguely remember, though, going back to his house and getting in my car and then going home. But I can't remember who took me about an hour and a half or so, 2 hours, whatever, back to his house. Because it's like I live here, he lives here, and then Dallas Fort Worth is over here. So it's like my house past his house to get to Dallas Fort Worth. So I still got to get from Dallas Fort Worth through his town and then to my house. And I'm 90% positive that I drove my car and dropped it off at his house. Even if I did or I didn't, I still have to get home. Even if I did drop it off at his house, I still got to get to his town. Because he does not live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area where the flight leaves Texas to go to Las Vegas. So I finally make it home. And I call him and I text him. And I think he vaguely said that he's going to be home in a few days. Like, I think they gave him, like, a free hotel and then all kinds of stuff. And I think he stayed with a friend or something. But he was very, like, vague on... He didn't say much, okay? Then after that, now let's get into the good part. After that, nothing. Like, no more texts or nothing. And I would say a year or two goes by, maybe longer. At least a year. I would say more like 2 years. We'll say at least 9 months. Not even 6, at least 9 months. And I'm on the app that I met him on, talking to another friend that I met another friend on this app. It's like a meetup gay app or whatever, to meet up with people, whatever, right? And he tells me, he was like, do you ever found out what happened to your boyfriend, the one that you went to Vegas with and stuff like that? And I was like, that piece of crap, whatever. And he was like, I feel bad for him. He just recently got out of the hospital. I'm like, what? When he came back home, he got in his truck at the airport to drive home, and he was coming down, the way my friend described it, is like you're on the highway, up here on the highway, and you get off on a ramp, like you take an exit, and you get off on a ramp, and then the ramp goes around, and then you go down, it like goes around, and then down onto the other incoming, and then you merge into the incoming traffic, right? So I know I'm long-winded, but you're driving along the road, and you see an exit, and instead of exiting it off, the exit goes around, and then loops underneath, and then goes like this way or whatever, right? Well, his truck, when he went underneath that, his truck, it rolled and kept, like a couple of times, like it, because it was up on a hill. Like when it rolled just a couple times, it fell off this like drop. And it was like rolling, and like he was like in the hospital for a long time. And I don't remember how much was fractured or whatever, but like he came really close to death. So, even though he turned out to be a butthole, and I feel bad for him, I feel bad for anyone that goes through a lot of pain, whatever. You know? I had nothing to do with that. I didn't do it to him. But I'm glad that he was a butthole to me. And I'm glad he ignored me. And I'm glad I was almost stranded. Because if things would have worked out and he would have been nice to me and I would have stayed a day or two longer, or 3 or 4 days, I think it was, and would have went home with him, it's possible you would be seeing me I would be 6 feet under. That actually wouldn't be the worst thing for me, is to die. It's the pain and suffering before you die, you know? And so I tried to reach out to him after that to say, hey, you know, I just want to see how you're doing and stuff. And he did eventually come around and say, I'm better, like, but... And he was like, I'm just so glad that you weren't there. And I was like, well, I don't hate you. I never hated you, but, you know. But then after that, we just didn't... I didn't ignore him, but he just pretty much ignored me. And I just figured, you know, he probably just... It didn't work out. You know, like, we didn't really have much in common anyway. So, yeah. That's a true story. Not that my other stories are not true, because they are. I have no... Just already make shit up. I know they're long-winded. But I will try to leave a link of that other video that I took while I was in Vegas on my other channel, so you can see it. So, until next time, have a good day and drive safe. What's that noise? Did you hear that?